Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us here, OXP on the final day. My name is William McMahon. I'm the CEO and founder of Gravity. We're an implementation partner in the UK. I'm also a pretty big social influencer around Odoo, many of you may know me. Today I've probably taken one of the hardest topics or hardest talks you will ever probably attend at OXP. Not only is it on the final day of OXP, which has been an absolutely phenomenal event, I'm also up against a talk with Fabian in the next room. I'm also up against with a talk on cancer and chemotherapy, which isn't the easiest topic to write a presentation on. So this topic itself is going to be difficult to verbalize. It's also going to be a very personal journey. So forgive any emotions that break into this as a presentation. It's again wanting to share with you an experience, a personal experience of how you can turn something of such negativity into something of hope. Do prepare any questions. I'm happy to answer as we at the end. But let's go straight into exactly how this has affected my life. So what I want you to do is just look to your left and then look over to your right. Now you can look back at me, of course, but the scary statistic is that 1 in 2 people are going to be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. And that's a scary statistic because you've just looked at 2 people beside you and you often forget about yourself. And you often forget, how does it affect me? And that statistic actually came through for myself and my wife in 2019. Everyone here probably knows somebody affected by cancer. It may be yourself, it may be a loved one, it may be a friend, it may be an association or acquaintance from work. But with over 18 million new cases of cancer being diagnosed worldwide each year, and 375,000 people diagnosed in the UK alone, that's 1,000 people every single day being impacted. It's scary. It's a horrible, horrible thing that comes into your lives and changes you forever. For me, it's a very personal story. It's a story of myself and my wife. That in 2019, as my business grew, I was starting off in Odoo in a situation where Gravity as an implementation practice was going from a small independent consultancy of about 14 people to a business of 87 people. And during this event of growth, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer, which turned our lives upside down. Not only were we facing at the time COVID, which again, that feeling of isolation, we were now dealing with something we'd never wanted in our lives. Our lives became overwhelmed with appointments, treatments, medications, and it started reshaping everything in our days. The person who's affected, the family, the home, the relationships. What we started seeing, or what I started seeing, was that loss of control. That's the first thing that happens, is your life is no longer in your hands. Your life is now with the doctors, with the oncologists, with scans. Everything is controlling your diagnosis from that moment forward. It's filled with a maze of schedules, specialists meet, medications to follow, prescriptions, endless numbers of drugs that are just there to try to treat and help. Those days defined in waiting rooms and anticipation. Scan anxiety is a thing where you go for your scan and you're waiting for those results. You're waiting in hope of what is going to come from those. You get brief, fragile moments of hope. It's also very frightening. You don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And that feeling of being swept away, being powerless to this cruel, cruel disease that's in now part of your lives. Your lives are put on hold. Those holidays that you dreamt of may not happen. You know, you're limited as to where you can travel, what you can do. You're again waiting for that next appointment, that next piece of result. For me, I'm a very engineering guy, and this is again something I found very difficult, is that I had a problem that I couldn't solve. I'm a solution architect. I'm always looking for, how do I solve it? That is out of my hands. I can't solve it. I have to accept what's been given, but I can find ways that I can take back some of that control. So putting structure and predictability into a world of chaos and uncertainty is my way of just finding a way through and a way to navigate. I needed some way to make sense of the uncontrollable. And like every project, I approached it like just the most complex project. I broke it down into core elements. I looked at what can I control. I looked at, how can I make my life that little bit easier for myself, for my wife, for my kids? Around that, I built a framework. I put that framework into play, primarily using Odoo. It was the coping mechanism that I needed. It gave me the clarity, the purpose, and the momentum to just keep moving forward, to look at each day. That helped us start looking at restructuring our future. Nothing will go back to the way it was. You can only start looking towards the future. So I started looking at the time I had been implementing Odoo for Gravity. I'd been seeing the benefits that it was bringing to me as an organization. It saved effectively my life. It saved time. I was able to run a business while then being able to afford that time to put back into my family. I didn't have to be doing the accounts and the spreadsheets and the project management. I found ways of relieving time from the business. I built a team around me in business who could, again, take that pressure. An amazing team. We centralized everything to just, again, bring clarity, reduce anxiety, and lessen the mental load. That freed up the time and energy that we could focus on family and not on the logistics. And it created a space in which we could breathe and start looking forward again. So using Odoo is, again, another use case of, I didn't expect, and many don't, of using Odoo in a way of managing my own personal life. So I had taken the application, the community edition, and spun up my own environment. I managed through medical appointments in activities and calendars to keep on top of this, because this is, again, an element for that my wife would struggle on, is the amount of appointments that you have to attend, managing those in my diary, and against my workload as well. Prescriptions and medications. My house is like a pharmacy. I've got medicines of all these different names that I can't even pronounce. Again, different timings of which to take, whether you remember to take them. How was I going to manage that? Some of these are controlled drugs, that I have to, again, make sure that for my wife's sake we're sensible as to what and how much we're taking. So I used inventory. I made my life a business. I was a pharmacy, effectively. Putting all of our scanned results, scans and documentations into Odoo documents, that helped me, again, manage those forms that we had to fill in, the insurance claims, and using knowledge as a journal, blogging our experience, blogging what's going on in our life, to see what we could learn and share with everyone as well. Diet and nutrition became, or still is, a very important piece. And again, we've used Odoo surveys to look at what consumptions we're eating, what's our diet like, how's our exercise and fitness. What many often ask me is that usual saying, let me know if there's anything I can help. It must be so hard. We hear it every day. I don't know how you do it. These are the very common things that people say. Let me know of anything I can help with. Life continues. The picture that you see is only a couple of weeks ago when my dogs, I have two Cocker Spaniel dogs, and when my wife goes into hospital, it affects them. And those moments of having to clean up in the morning, that's when I'd love for somebody to be there to tidy up the mess. They're not there. You have to keep moving. What people can help with, of course, is being there. Shoulder to talk, or shoulder to cry on, a person to talk to, just relief. You don't need to come in and change anyone's life. You're there to support. But it is so hard. You don't know how you do it. You wake up every day. You take every day as it comes. It's a new day. You look at the small things in life. What can I do? What can be better today than it was yesterday? And life is cruel. You'd never ask for it to come into your life, but life continues on regardless. And it's trying to keep that positivity going and just trying to simplify the monotonous day-to-day process. Again, the Odoo community is again a way that I pumped back in. How do I help myself? How do I look for support? Avoid Google. Avoid looking up your diagnosis. Google doesn't have your case. It's not there. But what I did was look at the Odoo community. Who else in the Odoo community? What other businesses are out there who again provide services in this space? And I reached out to them, and rather than self-diagnosing the condition, I asked, what can I do? What should I be prepared for? Two in here, the Stanboley Trust. They're a UK charity, again, or trust, who, again, pioneering on CyberKnife technology. They're an Odoo customer. They're looking for, again, funding to, again, get CyberKnife technology, which, again, is vitally important for microscopic cancer treatments. Penguin Cold Caps is a client of ours who, again, pioneering business in the UK who do chemotherapy cold capping. If anybody here who have never tried or know what chemotherapy cold capping is when you go through chemotherapy and you want to try to save your hair, you have to sometimes go through really tough decisions of putting an ice pack on your head. Not a typical ice pack, but basically a freezing, stick your head in a bucket of ice for 8 hours and tell me what it's like. That was the one thing my wife has always said is, I still have my hair. And the thanks to the community, the thanks to Odoo for helping us just make a little bit of ease in our lives day to day. Smiles and not head tilts. This is such a thing that as you go through, even Sarah gets it as well, is how are you in the head tilt. And it's nice to know that people care. It's nice to know that people ask. But it's a dominating topic. When you don't have cancer, people don't ask you as much. How are you? How are you feeling? And they don't tilt their head. Break away from that tilt heading. If you know anybody who has cancer, talk to them like a human. How are you? How's your day? What you been up to? What are you doing this summer? Look for hope. Don't tilt. We don't need sympathy. But look for ways to help. One lesson I have learned from my local landlady just a couple of weeks back, and I had to ask her. She asked, I heard about your wife. Really sorry to hear. And how are you? How are you keeping? What you been up to? And she did this with a smile on her face. And I stopped her and gone, it's all good. I said, but why are you smiling? She said, I'm a pub landlady. Everybody comes in every day, asks, has troubles. I said, I don't want to head tilt. I want you to know that there is hope, there's smiles. Keep smiling. So I would leave it in that we may not know or choose our challenges, but we can choose how we rise to meet them. And using platforms like Odoo, as diverse as this topic is, just shows that you can take something so negative and apply a little bit of hope and a little bit of structure in your day-to-days. Now, I do have one massive request for everybody. It was Sarah's birthday on Thursday. I'm over here. Nothing was going to get in my way. She has been really ill for the past couple of months. But again, we have to support and we have to move on. And birthdays and special occasions are always the difficult. They're always the reminder of what is what is happening. And it's never easy to know what to get. It's never easy to know what to buy or what to do. So today I'm dedicating the presentation to her. What I would like, Fabian is in the next room. I want the loudest applause, cheers for Sarah to keep fighting on the battle. If you could all welcome and join. Thank you so much. It really does mean a tremendous amount to be able to speak on this topic. I hope this has helped somebody in the room or somebody online, but absolute pleasure. Thank you. I don't know if there has any questions on that, but
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for this amazing
Thank you.
talk. Thank you for sharing this with us. This was very touching. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that this would be it. We have no.
No worries.
For it.
I wasn't expecting many, but thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.